Ah, finally, we have a banner. It's a nice banner from all the way back when we were at Prince. But anyway, hello guys, I'm Trey6591, and today we are returning to the world of Kaiserreich. When we last left off, it was still the year 1936, and our president got shot. Kornilov was put in power, Savinka was formed an alliance with Kornilov, and we have combat squads roaming throughout all the Russian republics. Meanwhile, the world builds closer and closer to the second Weltkrieg, and America gets closer to its most decisive election yet, and in this game. Also, Napoleon IV rises in the now deposed French Empire, kicked from its homeland by the communists in France. But now, with 25th of October, we are close to the decisive American election, which means now shit will finally get interesting. Let's continue. Oh god. And we're killing that now because I am not getting the copyright strikes. Anyway, let's continue. When we last left off, Mongolia and Tibet were going to war with the Mon clique under the alliance of the Great Khanate. Europa grows to include southern China, and Afghanistan and India went to war, which ended soon. But now, we must focus on the Americas. For America's most decisive election in this game is about to happen. Which means America is probably going to get screwed anyway in this world. Anyway. I know we have low manpower. For Russia, we have millions of men, but we don't have the manpower to support it right now. And also, Khrushchev was being invited back into the government in the Kingdom of Ukraine, which means they're now syndicalists, which means they're now crazy bastards. The only sad part is, oh wait, and I completely forgot about the Russian Pacific Fleet. Let's set them up to just generally. There we go. Anyway. And to those who have not seen them, who don't know anything about Kaiserreich, or have never played the Darkest Hour version, or even generally know what the hell is going on, let me rephrase this. So quick summary. 1918, Germany, the Central Powers win World War I. Mainly Germany wins World War I. So the Russian Revolution fails. And the Young Empire is still around, but it's kind of weakened. France has a civil war. The communists win it, while the nationalists get kicked all the way into the colonies in Africa. Union of Britain has a workers' strike in 1925, which makes it communist. So the royal family runs all the way back to Canada. So they now rule in Canada. For example, King Edward is now Canada's now ruled by King Edward VIII. The United States is having its most decisive election in years between the isolationist American First Party under the control of Huey Long and the syndicalist Combined Syndicates of America led by Jack Reed. Now, the Republicans can win that election, but it will lead to a civil war. So the only hope is if the Democratic Party gets elected. I'm not the one who designed it that way, it's just how shit happens. Anyway. Oh yeah, and Austria's in the Austro-Hungarian Empire is kind of decentralized. And the southern half of Italy is syndicalist. And the north is ruled by the Pope. Anyway, brief summary done. Charles Cutter. So, despite the massive instability rampant in the nation ever since the Great Depression in 1925, the presidential elections went forward. The voting results are clear. The Republican candidate Charles Curtis is the 32nd president of the United States. Despite his advanced age, Curtis mustered the health to run for president in this tough time for America, as his platform was focused on negotiation and reconciliation with the Combined Syndicates of America and the American First Party. He has already opened talks with them, but can he really satisfy two opposing militias at once? We'll see what happens. And there will be a civil war. Why? Because the only good electing person is Garner. Any other option just delays the civil war for the inevitable. In Mexico, wait, why is that called Mexico? What happened? Oh my God. Their leaders, yeah, what happened? Oh, it's a moderate victory. Okay, that's fine. Ish. It's not interesting, but at least it's fine-ish. So they're not completely syndicates anymore in Mexico. And oh my God, Brazil? Oh my God, yes, Brazil. I believe in you now. You have restored hope. You viewers have restored my hope in South America. Meanwhile, what are the French doing? Wait. Military preparation. What's that underneath your focus tree? Let's go, because that is all the way over here. Okay, so it's preparing the armies for... So, wait a minute. So they're preparing the... Oh, okay, they already did that. So they're preparing the liberation. So they can liberate the homeland from the communists. Okay. Spain, how are you doing? Because I know you are also having a problem here involving everyone. And let's see. Ethiopia has declared war on the runaway province of Eritrea. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how it's going to be pronounced. So, Haile Selassie is going to war to regain his only landlocked province. And there we go. Eritrea revolts. Ethiopia's only game in the Weltkrieg, prized coastal position of Eritrea, is now in open revolt, disgruntled by oppression, disrespect, and overtaxation. The aggressive Muslim and Christian forces of the nation have rallied under one flag, in which to free their country. The Emperor of Abyssinia has already reacted with outrage, and the Eritrean War of Independence has begun. As all the pieces are set on the table, the Legion watches closely. Will Somalia take the opportunity to take Harar and its other claims on the empire? Will Abyssinia manage to keep its only coastal port, or will the bravery of the outrageous rebels prevail? Time will tell. Again, Kaiserreich devs. You're English. Well, your ability to write proper English in sentences concerns me. I mean, these are good events. I mean, mod's great. You just need to hire someone to, like, hire or have someone you can maybe, like, double check your events. Well, that's still a good mod. One of the best. How you're not #1 on the Steam Workshop is beyond me. And now time passes on. America. Okay, so it's mainly market liberal. Or the conservative wing of the Republican Party. Republican Party? Oh, yeah, that's right, because there's 2 Republican parties. Or it's labeled as 2, so it's 2 different wings. Hello, you United Provinces of Central America. Why are you deal with the president? Wait, what does this involve? I don't know because I never played the United Provinces of America. I want to know what it entails. Oh, it's just an event, and I'm never gonna get to see that event because I never play as them. Anyway, okay, so wait. In Lilia, the Russian Republic is strong and is increasing stability and okay, that was just a graphic glitch. The puppets make me concerned. It's time to go to 5 speed because legally right now Russia gets to sit here and do nothing until eventually in 1937 we actually get to do shit. At a certain point. Mongolia, your war over here doesn't seem to be going well. Meanwhile, we're reforming our navy from the last episode. So, because we heard of a new one we're seeing called aircraft carriers. And we think now is the time to try them out. But meanwhile, we must keep eyes on the world. Let's go for a little bit of a scene. Here's the diplomacy part. Let's see, who are all totalists? Union Britain, the Socialist Republic of Georgia, who is ironically not controlled by Stalin, which would have been funny. Give me a second. This. And the Union Britain. The syndicates are the Norwegian. Okay, Norway is now a member of the King of Ukraine, Chile, and the Socialist Republic of Italy, who are radical socialists. The Bharati Commune of Central America, Social Democrats, Mexico, Denmark, and Colombia, Social Liberal, Bolivia, and the Republic of the Philippines. And look, we're kind of getting stabilized. Who are market liberals, Cuba, Dominion of Canada, Dominion of India, Ecuador, Panama, Switzerland, and the United States. Social conservatives, all of these nations. Authoritarian. A good majority of the world is authoritarian. Which, in the normal Hearts of Iron 4 game, I would be concerned, because in that would mean there could be a lot of nations that ally with the Germans. But this falls as on as paternal autocrat, which is what we are. Huh. Oh, look, a Chinese warlord is paternal autocrat. So is the other one. Huh. And the national populace consists of Integris Brazil, Romania, Portugal, and a national populist version of the Republic of China. Literally, that's what Senking Tanggu becomes if they're pluralists. They become the People's Republic of China. Trust me, I know this. You are the king. What are you doing? Hey, queen, king empire, what are you doing? Expanding your arsenal. Are you preparing for war? Feng Tang Clique. We assume the Wang Yun Zhang is for I cannot do Chinese or Japanese. Commune, what's going on here? You still have Lala in power? It's cool. We'll check on you back when the mighty warlord appears. Italian Federation, oh, still there. Disfranchisement of the former Bolsheviks. The whole question of Russia's existence depends on our understanding of the true nature of Bolshevism and the nature of its supporters. We have to open our eyes to the fact that Bolshevism is a global threat, not just a local Russian disease. That's exactly the reason why we should identify all its supporters and limit their influence to the life of the Russian Republic. With these words, the main ideologist of the Russian National Renewal Policy, Dmitry Merezhkovsky, explained the revocation of the right to vote, as well as the part of the other civil rights for members of the Bolshevik Party and some former Soviet officials. With this measure, Boris Savinkov and the NRPR are going to improve the situation in the Russian society and get rid of all these elements who undermine the stability of Russia. You wanted to revoke our rights in 1917, but now you will use yours. So let's explain what's going on here. We're kind of securing the internal stability of our nation still, technically. America is fine right now, but there are two states that will implode in the future. Near future. Knights of Portugal. I actually think an interesting game. Let's see. The moderating power, the organic kingdom, Regala Marinae. Protect Mozambique, protect Laos, Peninsula, Snats, Zambia. Congo. Produce the man, the Manakong, the bend the knee. Ink map, those are confirmed. Vox Populi. Boris Komko, a pre-1970 ally of Savinkov, and later one of his main enemies, who has become the leader of the left SRs after the assassination of Maria Spiridonova, died this night in Moscow. It happened when Savinkov's combat squads broke into the house when an illegal left SR meeting took place, and Kamkov, trying to escape, jumped into the Moscow River and drowned. According to the famous sarcastic writer Ivan Bunin, the Vox Populi about this incident seems to be sneers or indifference, just like Savinkov and the NRPR won. Barrera Boris, I'll see you in my dreams. And thus another enemy of the people has been removed. Now, I do feel like I should explain a couple things about what I'm doing. But in the very end game, I won't explain them until it happens. Because why? Because I see that as a more fun alternative. But I will explain in two different parts. Or I will, at some point in the future, I'll show the infinity tree of all of these party types, because someone actually put this image of an infinity tree together of all the political ideologies of Kaiserreich together. I have it somewhere on my computer. I just don't remember the artist's name, and I don't like showing off art or anything from other people without giving them credit. Just like at the beginning of the stream, you might see our new banner. That was designed by one of one of my long-term friends. He just forgot he even designed it. Anyway, time to talk about the Great Crusade. I'm so delighted with the events of January 1936 is the great heroic deed of the knight who raised with his hand the sword to kill the devil. I believe that this struggle will be continued, and our Volst will achieve revenge for all these young heroes who were cowardly killed by the lefts. This struggle, once finished, was our victory. Ivan Semyonov, I can't pronounce Russian names. Russian conservative writer, whose unarmed son was killed by the Reds at the end of the Civil War, demands that the Russian government should continue to fight against the left movements, such as the left SRs and the Mensheviks, not only in Moscow and Petrograd, but also in the various Russian regions. Though these parties were incredibly weakened by special government measures after Savinkov's rise to power and the killing of Maria Spiridonova and Boris Kamkov, they are leaders in the Russian regions definitely should be arrested and even executed, if necessary. Russia won't be a syndicalist country. Never. It will never return to communism. Filthy fucking communism. I mean, look at what it has done to the French, and the Italians, and even the British. It's fucking filthy and disgusting. And we have no knowledge of what the French are doing. Oh look! The Italians are finally beginning their 4th Congress to decide who will be the major leading syndicalist faction. It would be interesting. But right now I'm concerned by the fact I can't see what the French are doing on the focus tree. As knowing what the French are doing would give us a good idea of how long we have to gain territory and to prepare before the Second Weltkrieg goes off. As it's always France who launches the Second Weltkrieg, never Germany, only France. In this scenario, at least. Ah, Switzerland. So innocent, so pure. It's too bad to know that I know what's gonna happen to you in the near future. As you kinda have a state, which the French kinda have a claim on. Anyway, look, it's now Christmas in 1936. Christmas. And there it goes. It's around 4 speed, so it really doesn't matter. Anyway, time to explain our main goal. First, the first goal of this of 1937 is to secure the Central Asian republics that broke away from our empire, which means the last autonomy, which is basically Kazakhstan and Turkestan. So the fraternal autocrats here and the authoritarian democrat here, who literally was reared by Kaiser Wilhelm. He was from Mongolia and had a very, very giant mustache and had his hair shaved down. Let's go. Then we focus on the Caucasus, where Russia needs oil. Russia needs resecure its supply of oil. And also, I have a better plan for Russia's future. You see, we're not just going to stop at taking back just our lands in general, but no, we will strive to be better. We will strive to make a new alliance out of the old world, one dominated by Russia, and it shall be feared throughout the world. Anyway, what's this? Liberia. I forgot about you. Hi, you're okay. You're making a deal with the American government. That's good. That's interesting. Oh, you're getting bailed out by the Americans. I guess you're having some financial troubles. This will be an interesting game. It's just, just to play as one of the countries in Africa, just to see how far I can go. So, now onwards. The Naive Bolsheviki bloc is founded. With Kerensky's assassination and the dissolution of the SR Cadet Coalition, the great resuffering of the Russian political scene has taken place. The most visible result of the process was the creation of the so-called New Bolshevik bloc, a conglomerate of the Civil War survivors, radical former Mensheviks, and SR members as well as fresh syndicalist blood. It is very possible that this bloc will take part in the nearest Duma elections, should the situation finally stabilize. We should keep a close eye on them. Great, we got some more syndicalists in our country. Yes, our syndicalist party is called all the Bolsheviks. Because, Marxist-Leninist ideology did not win the day in this universe. So now it's the major anarcho-syndicalists. Literally, that's the name of the ideology, anarcho-syndicalism. The Fifth Congress. Well, it's the Fourth Congress. The Fourth Congress of the Greater Italian Union, known to the rest of the world as the Socialist Republic of Italy, has ended with the anarcho-syndicalist party of Italy, led by Paolo Togliatti. Togliatti cannot pronounce Italian names. Continuing its mandate by achieving a majority of seats in the government. The anarcho-syndicalists have held control in the Republic since the end of the Weltkrieg. And this continuation of the regime signals a likely solidification of their alliance with the Commune of France. No surprises there. God damn it, SRI. You could be interesting for once. What I was hoping for was the National Syndicalist form. Because then we would have an interesting, fun character from real life returned under a different ideology. Which I hinted at that I might have hinted at him hoping to return as a former god emperor. So let me explain who he was. So here's a little bit of history for you. Before this man was who he was in our life, he was a socialist during the time of the First World War. It was only after the First World War did he see that his socialist party didn't really unite it, so he went off and made his own party, and eventually took control of Rome during World War II. If you can figure him out, yes, I'm talking about Benito Mussolini, socialist turned fascist. In our timeline. Well, in this game, he is a member of the totalist ideology, which in the case of totalist, imagine it. Totalist is short for totalitarian socialist. Literally, that's what it's short for, according to the original Darkest Hour version of this mod. Basically, imagine a fascist form of socialism. No, we're not talking about National Bolshevism. Not that either. There you go. It is now January of 37, which means now we're getting close to the point where we can finally do something. And there it goes! So, like I said, this is an eventuality. So, the combined syndicates of America declare war on the American Union State. The United States declare war on the American Union State. The combined syndicates of America declare war on the United States. So, let's go back to America. You're like, oh, okay, so there are 3 Americas now. Now, viewers, I don't think you know this, but there are actually 4 Americas. Get ready to be confused. The Second American Civil War is out here. Political and social development. Political and social development in the United States has evolved into civil war. Shall Russia support any of the warring factions? Now here, I can choose to say, this is no concern of Russia. But that loses me political power, which I need. So I can choose to support the federal government or support the Union state. Because the federal government's going to be under control of an authoritarian Democrat, and that has no alignment with my faction right now, or my ideology of paternal autocrat, I shall not do that. I shall support the American Union state. So there goes 10,000 of my men to go support. Yes, the South. Well, yes, I know it was against the Confederacy, but it's not. Now, we have we have 4 Americas now. We have the Pacific States of America under control of the Social Conservative Erskine Party, led by Frank Marami. We have the Republican Party, and there we go. The Pacific States of America declared war on the United States. That war lasts very shortly. The United States is here. They are under control of the Republicans, which it won't be for long. Yeah, the American Union state. There we go. There it is. The Second American Civil War. And I guess my computer's freezing. And yes, as I said, the Americans no longer at this. As I was saying, the Second American Civil War. To uneducated foreigners, it might seem like the crisis in the United States happened out of nowhere, but experts agree that this was a civil war years in the making. Ever since the collapse of the New York Stock Exchange in 1925, the economy of the United States has been in constant downturn. Now the United States has evolved into a three-way civil war between the lawyers of the old government, the syndicalists, combined syndicates of America, and the conservative and xenophobic American Union state. There have already been reports of arriving volunteers from Europe to fight for a faction of their liking. The Second American Civil War might just be the first of the many battlefields between the great powers of the world in this tough time for humanity. A troublesome development. Now, here's the thing. You might notice that part of America here is kind of cut off. Now, there's a 50-50 likely is, oh yeah, democracy prevails in the Philippines. No one cares about the Philippines. It's only interesting. But let's read it anyway. Democracy prevails in the Philippines, having just achieved independence from the United States because, you know, America's going into civil war, why not break away now? The Philippines face today perhaps one of the most serious challenges any new country could face, inspired by the combined syndicates of America in the Bharatiya Commune, which is the communist part of India. Disgruntled army officers march on Manila to support rebelling peasants and workers. Their attempt was quickly thwarted as loyalist units in the army reaffirmed their support for and intervened in favor of the legitimate democratic Filipino government and drove the rebellious army out of the capital, and the threat of a syndicalist coup for the even hatch. The United States taught them well. I've actually only seen, like, the Philippines fall to the syndicalists once. Oh look, Burma's a kingdom now. Oh no, they were already a kingdom now. Our ideology has grown. We don't need this. We need all our political power. We need it all for reasons of war. And look, we got, oh, I finally have another factory. Let's put it to making more guns. Anyway, like I was trying to say, we have upstate New York, yes, only, which is what I find weird, is that they broke the state of New York into two states, where it's the upstate, actual state, and then New York City. New York City just goes to the CSA. Well, the syndicalist CSA. I had to make that announcement out every time, but for this one time, I'll just say syndicalist. So it goes. So New York City goes to syndicalist, while upper town stays in control of USA. Now, here's the thing, because the United States is in a sort of civil war, or we have the thing of what happens to you know, New England, which is currently being invaded by the Syndicalists, and Alaska. Well, normally in all my games, they eventually get just taken over by the Dominion of Canada, and also the same happens with the Panama Canal. But I'm guessing, I'm saying the Senecas are hoping to quickly gain control of the New England, which means only Canada might be going to, or only Alaska might be going to Canada. Why did I say Canada was going to go to Alaska there? I was about to say that. Anyway, it's now the 1st of February, and this war, Mongolia, it's actually getting some progress. They're at least getting a foothold into my clique. Meanwhile, Tibet is just holding the border that they have with them. Anyway, it's just weird that the Sultanate of Egypt hasn't made it. Oh wait, there's a crisis in Egypt? Huh. Well, we got mechanical computing done, and it's now here, so let's go to Disperse Industry 2, so we can make it to where our war machine can be going. And hey, we can also develop new tanks! Yeah, our tanks are updated. Now, what do we do? Ah yes, no. We can start researching trucks so we can motorize our infantry. That should take only a couple months. What is the... Oh yeah, so we made new tanks. Game? We're no longer producing outdated equipment. Go away. Anyway, so now we have a civil war in the United States, and there we go. All of New England went to Canada. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, animals have to be taken care of. Anyway, the 100th anniversary of Pushkin's death. Yesterday, a new monument built to commemorate one of Russia's greatest poets has been uncovered in our capital. The 100th anniversary of Pushkin's death is a chance to recall the great days of Russian history and culture, an act of paramount importance during these dark times of crisis and instability. We all love our poets. Anyway, like I was saying, so Alaska and New England gets eaten up. Now, if you're thinking, well, how can the Civil War get possibly worse? There's 4 Americas now. I don't know which America I live in anymore. Well, guess what? There can be a 5th one. Wait, 5? Yes. Yes, we were 5. But, and there's the 5th one. It's called New England. So yeah, there are now officially 5 countries in the continental US. Have fun with that. We'll just check on that conflict periodically as time goes. As it's just now starting, let's give it some time to actually move on. Anyway, Roman Steel Kingdom. Somehow, Poland hasn't chosen anything. I really want to know what's going on in Poland right now, because they're still... They're still read by the Regency Council, and that's just not normal. And I just want to make a note that there is a syndicalist country in the German alliance. This is not supposed to be. And now I think it is a good time to make some commissars to motivate the troopers from the front line and keep them fighting, like eating them baguettes and vodka and turnips. And there's really much I can't talk about right now. Hey, hey. At least Mongolia might be able to cut off whatever troops are here. There's literally nothing to talk about in these first couple hours. But oh look, there we go. The American Union States launching some offensives into the states of Tennessee, Missouri, Oklahoma. They even have a little piece of Texas now, and Virginia. Yeah, the syndicalists that are in the north are assaulting Baltimore as we speak. They're even going straight for Washington, D.C. In fact, they're assaulting straight in the states of West Virginia, Maryland, and Kentucky. Oh no! The leader's dead! Vladimir Georgievich Kornilov, Supreme Commander-in-Chief and President of Russia, passed away last night at his dacha outside Petrograd at the age of 68. With Kornilov gone, nothing stands in the way for Savinkov merging the posts of Prime Minister and President and thus becoming unassailable in his leadership of Russia. The merger was approved by a dubious preface where more than 90% of the electorate voted da, Russian for yes. Savinkov now rules a potent and aggravated nation, ready to shed itself of the many humiliations faced since the Weltkrieg, and step into the sun once more. The Volks commands, the great helmsman of the Russian nation, is no more. I can now choose a path in the political part of the tree. Oh, and remember what I was saying about I didn't tell you what we're doing? Yes, we're going national pop, which is another way of saying, hey, guess what, we're now kind of fascist. I want to make a note here, I do not support fascism in any case, but in the case here, it would make sense. What just happened? There's an event going on. Serbia declares a republic. Since the end of the Austrian occupation during the 1920s, Serbia has officially been in a kingdom. They never dared to crown a king, as they were forced to keep a low profile in light of further Austrian aggression. Bowing to mounting internal pressure against this repressive regime, Petar Bojovic, regent of Serbia for almost 2 decades, has voluntarily stepped out. Slobodan Jovanovic is now the first president of the Serbian Republic, acting as such until elections can be held. Democracy in the Balkans? That's new. Anyway, we'll now have it to where we can actually probably do shit now. But we can't do shit until after we get done with this focus. After this focus is done, you bet your ass we can go to war. But hopefully the goal is now, by June, we can do shit. Which we can't do, because we have to wait for a certain event to happen before we can make advances now. But finally, we are getting to the point to where we can actually be able to do stuff now. Purge them all? More than 20,000 Bolsheviks, former Soviet officials, members of the FSR and Menshevik party members, and leaders were arrested during these past few months. 3,000 of them were already sentenced to death and executed. But more and more people in Russia, including members of the NRPR, demanded that the government should end this policy once and for all. Although Savinkov and the Supreme Privy Council have decided to cease the purges, the question still remains: should these 17,000 people be jailed, or should they be executed as enemies of the state? Now, in prison, we are not bloodthirsty, very syndicalists after all, and that's only 3,000 of them. But considering who we are, and we kinda don't like them, without them, Russia would be better. Kill them all and God sort them out. Our nation is pure. Well, mostly pure. That's not a good 7% of the population. in supporting Bolshevism. But let's be honest, a good, let's see, good 13% of the population is supporting ideologies that we don't want. Our people are mostly pure. Let's see, March, April. So by May, by June, we be able to launch our assaults. Because I'm not launching an assault when I have the possibility of a Soviet uprising in my country. Nikolai Trubetskoy publishes Principles of Geopolitics, Principia Geopolitiki. It was in the late 30s by Nikolai Trubetskoy. It is now considered a cornerstone on geopolitics. In his book, the Russian conservative philosophy and politics envisioned a new Russian empire, defined not by the Tsardom or religion, but rather by pragmatic control over the Eurasian continent. His ideals were further developed by Lev Gumilev, thus creating the so-called Eurasian doctrine. An interesting concept indeed. Meanwhile, Mongolia continues its march into the Maquis. And the King Empire is now national populace? That's interesting. Meanwhile, triads rule the legation cities still. And they're incorporating the 49ers. Anyway, let's go on. Let's go back to the Americas, since that's interesting. So, looks like there hasn't been that much advance. The back conflicts that are going on are still continuing to go on. But, oh, America's pushing in a little bit into California. Tiny bit. Considering how close that is to Sacramento, that's kinda close to the capital. Which, this is weird that America's over here fighting. It means they have less troops over here fighting the breakaway countries. And I'll be honest, I have never played this game to its final this scenario to its final conclusion, so I never know who wins the Civil War. It's always by 43. Here we are. All Russian nation. Crimea. New Russia. Belarusia. White Russia. Our lands. Our people. They are waiting for us. The Great Russians, the Little Russians, and White Russians are under the German yoke. Will we leave them in trouble? Never. Will we save them? Yes, because we don't forget about our brethren and about our brothers and sisters. The era of the betrayal is over. We are the phoenix that was destroyed by the German aggressors, but was reborn. Wait for us. We will come. The Russians should help the Russians. Though the expansionist plans of Spinkoff cannot be realized right now. This declaration of the unity of the Russian nation, strongly supported by the voles and those of the peasants and the army, shows that Russia won't avoid the confrontation with the German Empire anymore. One nation, one country, one Russia. I find it weird that there's a kingdom of Ukraine. Nah, oh, they can do this. So, this is what I find funny. Khrushchev. Yes, the same guy. You know, the same guy with the bald head and the birthmark from real life is in Ukraine. And he can become the leader of Ukraine. I have rarely seen him. The last time I saw him was literally the first time I played Kaiserreich. I want to see him again. I wanted to say hello right before I run tanks right into Kiev. Speaking of which, I will be right back. And I am half retarded. Now to continue. But anyway, I was saying, let's look at what these countries are doing, because whatever the poor states are doing, we need to know. Lithuania is beginning this modernization of his army. Why Lithuania, which is basically Belarus, it's now deciding what it's going to do. A trade union, encourage foreign investment. Continue the simplicity and embrace Bolshevism. Wait the fuck? This is what I find weird. It aired. I think that if it gets to a point where it decides to, it can try to claim Russian lands. Which it won't. Because, you know, we're here. I find it weird that I still find it weird that Middle Europa still has a nation in its lines. And I find it also weird that Poland hasn't done anything about the Regency. It said, oh wait, next election, January 1940. What the fuck is Poland doing? What the fuck are you doing, Poland? Like, seriously, in every other one of my Kaiserreich games, by now Poland has chosen its government. Or it's either still a kingdom or under the control of a Saxon king or a Habsburg king. That means either have a king that's related to German royalty or the Austrian royalty, which means they kind of ally with either Germany or Austria. But seriously, what the hell, Germany? What the hell, Poland? Our Russia, you sons of the steppes, and you nomads in the desert, and many of you who live all over the Russian land. Many of you betrayed us when Russia needed your help. Many of you didn't give a helping hand to your compatriots when they struggled against the Red Menace. We cannot forget it. But we can forgive you. New Russia needs your help in the restoration of its might. Help your country to make it great once again. Glory to Russia and glory to its heroes. It is your country too. The new national policy of Russia is based on the idea of the supremacy of the Russians. But the idea of the friendship of the nations is popular as well. Zvinkov combined these two ideas to secure the interests of the Russians and the minorities who should be loyal, but also also can use all the rights of the citizens. This recreation of the old Tsarist national policy can finally bring an order and peace to the people of Russia. Russia for the Russians and its loyal minorities. We're getting to the part where we're finally having more troops. Great. Because we need more men. But here, I'm going to give you the odds on the stream the basic war plan of this game. So, hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, we will take Turkestan and Kazakhstan. Then we would take all the stuff in the Caucasus region, with the area controlled by the Cossacks within the Donbass Union, Socialist Republic of Georgia, Azerbaijan, and hopefully Armenia if the Ottomans don't decide to destroy it outright like they constantly do. And then from there we're going to hold our line there before we focus anywhere else down here. Because trust me, Russia will be great. I will expand its influence a lot farther than you think. And then from there we will focus completely on the Far East before we ever go to war with the Germans. And hopefully while we're doing that we can pick away over here at these little republics. And slowly bring them into the Russian fold. Wow, we deal with Mongolia and the Japan and the Japan problem, because in every game as Russia, I always eventually get backstabbed by the Japanese. We start the Second Russo-Japanese War. But this time will be different. This time, I will deal with it. Which means I will have to fight a land war in Asia. One of the most despicable things I can do. Anyway, but then after we deal with, like, okay, back what I was saying. Oh yeah, back to the war plan, the game plan. So after we deal with the Japanese problem, which means I'm gonna have to figure out how. Well, I know how to do most of this stuff in the game, but I'm gonna have to figure out how to navally invade Japan and fight a land war in Asia. Really, the worst thing you can do in this game. We can. And we will deal with the Middle East. And then, hopefully by then, Germany will be in a war with the communists, and then we can maybe, if we get lucky enough and we can grab all the land in the East, we can exploit the German weakness. And then dominate the Germans. And after that, well, then I do not know, because after that we kinda just broke the Germans. So now, let's talk about the foreign policy. Now, with our aim firmly established, we can begin to consider our stance regarding the rest of the world. Russia should start being more active on the world stage, but we are too weak to interfere in the German or Japanese spheres of influence. Caucasus, bordering the dying Ottoman Empire, is an easy region to subjugate and has large oil deposits for us to exploit. Central Asia, with its unstable situation between the Alas Orda and Turkestan, seems an even easier target. We should secure these areas before shifting our gaze anywhere else. Yes, let's show the world our might. The portions of the focus tree concerning your foreign policy have been unlocked. And then finally, trial of the left separatists. After the end of the Russian Civil War, some of the national minorities, which fought on the side of the Soviets against the White Army, continued to disobey the central government, not only with the terrorist methods, but also using the opportunity to take part in the local legislative authorities. But they often found support of the different left movements such as Menshevik and parts of the left SRs. This part of the local nationalists became famous as the left separatists. Though Boris Vinka accepted the new national policy to regulate and improve the relations between the Russians and the Russian minorities, including groups unloyal to Petrograd. He can't still forget about the problem of the left separatists, who still exists even after the prohibition of the Russian FSR party and its allies. Thanks to our Minister of Security, the leaders, active members, and terrorists from the most notorious left separatist movements were arrested and their property was nationalized. You fought the law and the law won. You fought the law and the law won. I swear to God, if that gets me, if that gets a copyright claim on this channel, I'm gonna go fucking mental. Anyway, we can now actually follow up on these. But we are now in a position where, let's look at this. We are, give me a second, something in the back, some background task is killing me. My stream. Oh yes, it's the actual viewing the stream on YouTube, so I can check the stream out. But anyway, let's try this. We are now in a position to prepare war on someone. Who will be the first of all? Who will be last to see? Who can solve all this madness that has consequences no man understands? No man, no land. And look, I can get a head start on weapons. Of course I'll get a head start on weapons. The more improved our weapons are, the better our situation will be. We're on volunteer only? No, we go up to limited conscription. There we go. Our manpower situation has been solved. Now, we can move onward to the HQ. Now, we here in Germany. Not Germany. Why did I say Germany? We here in Russia have a new war plan. We are going to use mass assault doctrines. We don't have actual divisions where they're just tanks. So here we are. We have infantry division with fire support, infantry division with recon support, one with engineering, cavalry division with fire support, which makes no sense. Why would you attach artillery to horses? I mean, we did that in the past, but never mind. Then infantry division with tanks. And then we have a second infantry division, which makes no sense to me. Why did it make a second infantry division? Delete that template. We're going to delete templates we don't use. Then we have militia divisions. Well, the Aryan War of Independence was solved. There's a mass for the motherland. A large-scale celebration has taken place in our capital. Apart from thousands of common Russians, the patriarch, members of the Romanov family, and dozens of nobles, politicians, and high-ranking officers have attended the mass. This is the great occasion to underline the ties between the government and the church in these uncertain times. See the Nami Bowl. Whatever that means. Thank God that was a good boost. We were only on like 9 political power. We're about to go into a fucking collapse there in a second. But anyway, we now have 975,000 troops in the pool. So now I can actually plan out some divisions. Let's see. But first we need. What am I producing? Okay, let me take away 2 of these, Actually, no. We'll take away those two when we have it. Keep them to the... Keep them... See, no, we... Oh, wait. Okay, so... we are going to take away 2 of our factories from our guns and produce them to motorize. And I just realized we have already have an issue now. Now that that's settled, from now on we're dropping it down to free speed. Svinkov is the news lord, and it's the news boss. After the death of Vladimir Kunlov, his influential prime minister revolutionary Svinkov assumed power in the republic and declared himself the boss of the Russian nation, surpassing the level of power even the old czars had. Poor Svinkov is now the boss, the leader of our nation. So by May 23rd, you can finally start talking about foreign policy. Yeah, anyway, back to this. Siam, you have some rubber, we need it. And we finally have factories to take rubber and continue to build stuff. Now that we actually have something in the way, let's get this. I'm gonna train 3 rounds of motorized divisions. In parallels of 2. Parallels of 3 rounds of infantry division with tanks, parallels of 2. They're gonna be both be deployed in Kursk. Meanwhile, we'll talk about the second international in a second. And in the case of the rest, we will build armies of militia. Armies and armies. Count if okay, apparently we have to talk about the Second International first, because it's not allowing me to do anything. First, in the Syndicalist International, in Paris dealt with spreading ideologies overseas, supporting syndicalist movements, and strengthening the ties between existing syndicalist nations. Thanks to the gathering success, the Second International has been called to be held in London. Representatives from the entire world were greeted by British artillery salutes, Scottish flags, pipe corps, and an overall warm reception. As Europe grows closer and closer to the war, military and economic cooperation between syndicalists is expected to be the primary topic of discussion, and France and Britain will once again call the shots on the international policy. And now, I seem to decide to catch up. We will put in parallels of 5 for the foreseeable future, and also deploy them in Kursk. There you go. I can build shit. At least mostly we can. We've been building guns this entire time, but we now have some form of economy. And we still have more factories to build. I mean, we still aren't anywhere near the production levels of what I want to be. Like, you can see, all these factories, yeah, we still have factories planned from all the way from the beginning in this game. This is the one part I am going to be honest about. I still do not understand the factory parts. Anyway. Now, I know I've been quiet for a bit. I've been here the entire time, don't worry. And time to talk. About this is mainly what this is. National focuses. He said what I need to do in order for us to do anything. This means I have to wait for them to unlock before we can even do anything. Now, the one I'm doing right here is to deal with this. With the national spirit. It says the continuing instability and the strength of the relative influence has forced us to compromise with the proletariat after the Civil War. Bolshevik activity is still high in Russia, and in the case of a further weakening of our power, they might attempt to rise up again. So basically, I'm doing this focus to get rid of this thing so I don't have to worry about an uprising at any point should anything go horribly wrong. Two more days. Let's just get as quickly do those 2 more days as we can. Savinkov is the news of Vols, and the second civil war this game has begun in Spain. Mr. Passing of Lavir Kornilov, both Savinkov as radical NRPR supporters have managed to assume control over the entire country. The most important politician in the largest country in the world, Savinkov hailed as the undisputed Vols leader of Russia and ready to enforce his own ideology which opposes both syndicalism and the new Russian republican traditions on the nation. The aim of this ideology, called national renewal, is to reconstruct the Russian state into an entity capable of defending Russian interests and citizens all over the world. Savinkov won't stop at to dependency on either Middle Europa nor on the defeated Entente. His new Russia will be stronger than any alliance in the world. Russia needs a strong state for strong people. Now that we have this unlocked, time to get started. So we have 2 things for our foreign policy. We have realpolitik, which means realpolitik is politics or diplomacy based primarily on considerations of given circumstances and factors, rather than explicit ideological notions or moral and ethical premises. The term realpolitik is sometimes used derogatory to imply politics that are coercive, amoral, Machiavellian. You enjoy this notion. Or, which means that's the more one where we kind of use political stuff, and if it goes wrong, oh well. Or, expansionism. Theory of expansionism constitutes that Russia's borders are only as safe as they are distant from our heartland. Every neighboring state, which is not a puppet of the Russian state, is, as such, a threat or a target, depending on their military and political strength. Needless to say, this adaptation of policies will not be well liked by the rest of the world. But guess what? Screw the world, spike the world tension, and prepare for combat! We have finally have enough thing. So time to get early mobilization going. We have average stability, we can go for good stability, but guess what, we're not doing that. Let's see. Yeah, let's get a guy who can increase our decryption strategically and decrease our supply consumption. Boris, welcome to the ministry. Would you like to see wonders of what you do for our troops? So we have negotiated with the peasants, which doesn't go away until the 25th of June. Now it's going all the way back in June of last year. We have the beginning of civilization, which means 10% of our factories go to consumer goods. Our production efficiency cap is down by 15%, and our factory output is down by 15%. Which we don't get to get away with until we get this. Savinkov's address to the nation. Boris Savinkov, the closest associate of Supreme Ruler Kononov, in his radio address to the Russian people, announced that, driven by the desire to defend Russia from external and internal enemies who tried to take control over the country, he promised to deal with corruption inside the state apparatus, conduct RAM reform, improve labor legislation, and provide further recovery of the state. It seems that the order that order has finally returned to the country. Finally. And foundation of the Belgrade Pact. Serbia, Romania, and Greece, the three Balkan members of the Entente, always revanchist in its views of their own, have recently gathered to a common table of negotiations and recently announced the beginning of the Belgrade Pact. While this pact puts a lot of focus on cultural discussion and preserving Balkan identities, it is also a military alliance between the participants, seemingly directed at the countries separating them and holding their ancestral lands. This new development is a big thorn in Bulgarian dominance of the Balkans, but only the incoming reaction of the other Central Powers can determine whether it will yield any fruit. Hopefully the Balkans won't start another world war. Oh no, they won't. But, oh yeah, Spain is now sub between by Trinidad Carlis, led by Javier the First of Bourbon Parma. The kingdom of Spain led by Alfonso the 13th of the House of Bourbon, and the CNT-FAI read by the Comité Central de la CNT-FAI. Basically, this is like the synthesis going on in Spain. Meanwhile, Directive Number 1. With the merger of the offices of President and Prime Minister, Boris Savinkov continues to solidify his grip over the Russian state by penning Directive Number 1, also known as the first Priskas Vosidia. Amongst other things, the directive dismissed the Duma whilst outlawing all political parties besides Savinkov's own Narodno Respublikansky Partia Rusi. Furthermore, the directive raises the combat squads to the status of a state organization and a full-board branch of the government. Those sorts of hooks to hang the enemies of the state. So, guess what? Remember how I said it's kind of fascist? Yeah, well, in this universe, Savinkov is basically the Russian form of Hitler. Very, very evil man. The combat squads are an allusion to the SS, kinda. Do I find this fun? No. But it gives me options, and options to expand and kinda stabilizes the country, which is kinda the main goal. Stabilize the country, then go to war. I don't like it, but it's the one I know it's the path to actually do anything that I know the most. And CNT-FAI declared war on the color of Spain, and there we go. Spanish Civil War is now complete. There's now a civil war in Spain. Oh look, Peru and Bolivia are united. And now let's read about the Spanish Civil War. Ever since the defeat of Napoleon, Spain has been plagued by violence, dissent, and turmoil. But it appears that these tensions have reached a breaking point. That is, the Spanish kingdom has been ripped apart in a three-sided civil war between numerous factions. The loyalists of the Madrid government, the supporters of the pretender Javier, and finally the anarcho-syndicalist party known as the CNT-FAI. There are already numerous reports of volunteers and equipment being shipped to Spain from all over the world to support one faction or another. It can be safely said that the fields and mountains of Spain will be the first battlefield of much wider conflict between the left and the right. The troublesome development. Now let's see here. This is paternal autocrat. Does that mean that that probably means that since the French is now the French Empire and they're paternal autocrat, and I can finally see what people are doing again. Does that mean that they support the Carlists or would they support the Kingdom of Spain? Now, this is what I find weird. Civil war in Spain, the legitimate Spanish kingdom under Alfonso XIII, is under severe threat from anarchists and fanatics. While many are saying that this provides further proof of the terminal weakness of the House of Bourbon, to secure Spain is an important part of our defensive plans. No, they're not. I have no plans in Spain except those of my own. It could be wise to help the government put an end to these threats. We can send material and expertise, which would take away 50 political power, and sends only 1,000 people and 500 infantry equipment to support them. Or we cannot support them, and nothing happens. Spain is of no interest to us. We would not send our guns and our men to die in foreign lands. Except for the foreign lands of the United States, which is, oh my god, there we go. So, this is what normally happens. The United States ends up fighting to the last man, and there's always a pocket of the United States right here in Northern Virginia and outside Washington. We have conflicts between the syndicalists and the paternal autocrats in Kentucky. Basically, the entirety of the border states of Missouri, Kentucky, and West Virginia, and Maryland is nothing but a battleground between the free American nations. Meanwhile, Pacific states seem to have kicked the United States out of its small little advance into California and are now advancing into Nevada. Of course, none of them are going for the very, very, very important county known as Las Vegas. You gotta get all that sin money, yo. Meanwhile, what is Poland doing? Because last time we checked on Poland, they are still being boring and still under control of the Regency Council. Again, still not doing anything and still boring. Anyway, let's go look at the world alliances. So we have the alliance of right now we have the alliance of the Third International, consisting of France, the Socialist Republic of Italy, and soon the Union of Britain. Then we have the German Middle Europe alliance, which consists of Germany and its occupants in Eastern Europe, the Flanders Wallonian region, Africa, literally everywhere in Africa, few holdings in the Middle East, in the case of Yemen, and in Southeast Asia. Then we have the autonomous, consists of Dominion of India, the area of Australasia, because Australia kinda in this universe annexed New Zealand, the Caribbean Federation, consisting of all these islands, and Dominion of Canada. Oh yeah, and its newly acquired puppet state known as New England. Oh wait, it's not puppet state. My bad. But now, let's talk about the reform of the Senate. The recent political crisis has shown the need for extensive reform of the government and governmental apparatus. The Senate is a useless talking shop. Many officials are corrupt, and local authorities conceal the real situation in their regions. All these problems should be solved as soon as possible. According to the plan, our vertical will be created. The Senate's powers will be restricted, and special control commissions will be organized into the state apparatus. The new Senate will represent New Russia. Now, after this event, we will have to talk about the Duma. Basically, I think the Russian Duma is the same, will be considerably the same as, what would it be called? What is it? Oh yeah, the House of Representatives for the United States. I think, I have no fucking idea. Anyway, yeah, let's check it here. Now, I'm gonna be honest, in early versions of Kaiserreich, the Kaiserreich mod, literally the CNT, like the Carlets get annexed by they just kind of lose their civil war immediately. But now in this more severe era, it's actually a civil war, and it looks like the it looks like the syndicalists are pushing into both, or at least trying to make a push into both Carlist Spain and the Kingdom. If I was playing out Portugal and I had the ability to do so, which I don't because, you know, there's not enough world tension and you can't do anything until it's 25% world tension, I would have pushed straight into the Kingdom of Spain at this point and grab a little bit of land. That's what I would do if I was playing as Portugal. But that's not how the AI thinks. Let's look over here. Flanders Wallonia, which is basically Belgium. What are you doing? You're doing a German investigation. What are we investigating? I really want to know what the German investigation is. I really want to know, where is this German investigation? There's a German investigation, and I don't see it on the focus. Oh, no, wait. Never mind. I found it. There we go. So this is what happened. So they're just evaluating their state budget and doing an investigation of it. Okay, nothing important. What are you doing here in Kingdom of Ukraine? Fate of the monarchy. Oh, we are getting to the interesting part, aren't we? So what's gonna happen? Please choose a red hitman. Please make it to where, like, monarchy's dead. Please kill it off. Give me, please, seriously, I want to, like, because they will make taking Ukraine very easy. Then I wouldn't have to worry about taking on Germany to take Ukraine. Because in the case of, Baltic Duchy, Lithuania, and White Russia, there are ways I can grab those peacefully. But in the case of Ukraine, which I have never done it peacefully, let's just say Ukraine's a touchy subject. Hey, it's a touchy subject in real life, and it's a touchy subject right now. Anyway, I don't mind the business coming along. Wow, my infantry divisions that have tanks in them are getting supplies faster than the motorized in the militias. And when you had the manpower, you just had the infantry equipment. Anyway, how much longer into it? So we're 43 days into the foreign policy. So probably by August or September. And probably by August, we should be able to do the next step. Okay, so let's be honest. Then we have to do the Central Asian Doctrine, which means by then. Hey. But hey. It won't take forever. Now, we can start elections of the Duma, which we would do, even though we don't need the Duma to operate. We will elect the new Duma. Imperial Operation, Infantry Division that mass combat. That's what we're going into, so we need that. Wait, did I just this bastard, this man who I just made chief of staff of our military, is also our head of military intelligence. Is the head of our military, the Ministry of Military Intelligence. I sense a conflict of interest here. But hey, we have finally 1 million men that we in our pool. We're finally getting close to Russian dominance. And Vladimir von Manstein, who's holding us back? Balkan. Oh, okay. The Balkan Wars are beginning again. Now, who's involved in the Balkan Wars? Let's go check the current war map. So we have the Chinese-Mongolia War, the Civil War, and the Spanish Civil Wars, and we have the Bulgarian-Serbian War, which involves the entire Belgrade Pact against Bulgaria. Bulgaria right now stands alone. Even though there's 2 German volunteer divisions that I just saw in the little scene up there, I'm going to check on it in there. Bulgaria stands alone. Valencia. We have Malta over here. Okay, so Germany is doing one currency for Middle Europa. What are we making? Are we making the Deutsches Mark the currency for all Middle Europe? Are you the new EU? Are you like the early form of the EU in this universe? Because I can tell you that kind of going kind of wrong here. The Romand question is all. After a demand by the Commune of France that the province of Romandy be immediately seceded due to persecution of the French minority, the Swiss government decided to avoid the threat of war and agreed. This is a victory for the French government, which had already declared the acquisition of Romandy another victory of the world's working class syndicalism spreads. Yeah, Switzerland just lost a big thing, and it got support from no one. Which means, guess what's going to happen to Switzerland? If you're saying, oh, it's just because of a neutral single party that has no repercussions and that doesn't hate anyone, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. Because normally when this happens and no one supports it, they choose national populism, which means another nation falls. Sweden, I wanted to see you do something interesting. Gustav, my man. You feel kind of weird that you can't make your Northern Lights faction like you kind of always do in my World 6 games. Now that your neighbors Norway are socialists, Finland doesn't give a shit, and Denmark just has nothing to do with you right now. Actually, no. You will go into developing interwar artillery, which we somehow don't have. But seriously, what Ukraine? I want to see what Ukraine does. I want to see the big anarchy. I want to see Ukraine fall. I want to see it fall to communism. Meanwhile, oh yeah, wait, why does this army have no leader? I saw I gave this army a leader. Okay, so who shall we promote to leader? Who shall I promote to leader? We have Chukov, man. And wait a minute. Aren't you, Boris and Nico, aren't you the leader of our military intelligence and our chief of staff, and you're also a general? You know what, let me promote you to Field Marshal, because I see no repercussions in this. There is no repercussions in giving a man control of an entire front, and control of the military intelligence, and the chief of staff of our armed forces. Nope, no repercussions whatsoever. You know what? Fair? Let's line you up on the Ukrainian border. Now we can talk about going into Central Asia, as that is our first step. Meanwhile, my friend, you are going to make a glorious push, kinda like so, all the way right here, and we're gonna edit that, because let's bring that down kinda like here, and make a giant sweeping motion through Ukraine and cross over at Kiev. I don't want to, never mind, it doesn't matter. But anyway, now we continue. Central Asian direction. Oh wait, who did I put in control? The Far East. Let's rename this theater to the Eastern Europe Theater. This will have priority for reinforcements. If it would give it priority, thank you. There you go. Far East Theater, you will have medium priority still, just because I don't trust the Japanese. Even though the only ones lined up on my border are their Chinese and Russian puppets. Or autonomous dependencies, whatever. Transmitter, is here under control of Kolchak and wants to take over the world. So, okay? Okay. Nice to know. Good talk. See you next year. Let's develop the BT-10. More factories into the guns. And companies. And syndicalism has spread to Burma, country after country, where revolution progresses. More syndicalists. They sustain the world with their existence. And oh my god, well, mighty warlord Gandhi doesn't exist in this universe. Well, not this time. Like, literally, every time I play this game, Gandhi takes control of the commie, and it's glorious because I get to call him the mighty communist warlord Gandhi. Solsky, item manufacturer, artillery manufacturer, tank manufacturer, infantry equipment. Let's see, soft attack breakthrough, weapons research time, down 10%. You seem to be good company. Let's give you all that political power to do stuff.